Listen, with global uncertainty looming, your savings and retirement plans are under siege. But there's one asset that has stood the test of time: gold. Unlock the peace of mind that comes with owning gold, the ultimate safe haven. And if precious metals are new to you, Noble Gold Investments will hold your hand through the whole process. They have a team of experts who will guide you every step of the way to safety. Thousands of investors have sheltered their retirement savings with Noble Gold Investments. With gold at an all-time high and looking to climb further, it's the perfect time to get in. Open a Noble Gold Investments IRA and secure your future with a free gold bullion coin. Act now before it's too late. Call 877-646-5347 and claim your free coin before it's gone, or visit noblegoldinvestments.com now. noblegoldinvestments.com, the gold company I trust.
Hey, Inspire Tribe, my fellow freedom lovers, Jean Nolan here. Thank you so much for tuning in to another Inspired live stream. Thank you for being here. We're healthy, we're wealthy, we're whole, we're free. That's been the mantra of the Inspired live stream for a very long time. Okay, let's dive right into it while everybody's jumping on in the live chat. The band's getting back together. Klaus Schwab and his globalist cult friends are getting back together next week. From January 15th through the 19th, they're going to be in Davos, Switzerland at the World Economic Forum, WEF, or Wannabe Elite Fraternity meeting in Davos, Switzerland. And it's going to be a huge affair like every single year. And they're going to get together with some of the biggest people from finance, government, from business and whatnot. And what they will do is sit there and talk about you as if you are inferior beings that need to be ruled over. There's a lot of irony in these meetings, but I want to answer one question right before I go into all the details. What this club, this very powerful club, by the way, stands for, what they want to achieve, and why more and more awareness equals less and less power for them. The number one thing that I get asked is, Jean, why do you even focus on the World Economic Forum? We've never voted on them. They have no power. Who is this Klaus Schwab guy? Why do we even pay any attention to him? Well, let's listen to Klaus Schwab here for a moment in his own words.
Mrs. Merkel, even Vladimir Putin and so on, they all have been young global leaders of the World Economic Forum. Mm-hmm. But what we are very proud of now is the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina and so on, that we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know that half of this cabinet, or even more half of this cabinet, are for our actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
So, my friends, you heard it. This is the guy, this is the founder, Klaus Schwab. We're going to talk a little bit about him too. But what Klaus Schwab has said here in this clip a few years ago, he said, we have penetrated the cabinets of the government. We are basically in charge of Prime Minister Trudeau, and we are in charge of other people because they are all young global leaders. What are the young global leaders? It's an interesting question. There are multiple files out there that you can search for where you will see who has attended the Young Global Leaders Academy sponsored by the World Economic Forum. And you would be surprised that in today's governments, probably half of the people that are in the cabinets, that are in the various agencies, and that are in leadership positions are young global leaders, which means they have been educated by the World Economic Forum and primed for their agenda. So we're going to dive a little bit into their agenda, the World Economic Forum's agenda today, in their own words, because so often people say, well, you're just spewing conspiracy theories. No, I'd rather people hear it from their own mouths, from their own videos and their own websites, so we can really appreciate what the World Economic Forum is all about. Klaus Schwab, interesting figure. I encourage you to look him up. Who was his dad, Eugen Schwab? What was his connection to the government in Germany during World War II. Look that up. Does Klaus Schwab himself have any nefarious connections to, let's say, an apartheid regime in South Africa? Was plenty of things to discover that I encourage you to discover when you look at this guy who wants to portray himself as the level-headed, balanced, unelected leader of the world. Let's make sure we really know who we're dealing with here, right? So now I want to go a little bit into the agenda and how the World Economic Forum's agenda is very much aligned with the UN 2030 agenda, the Sustainable Goals agenda, and how this is all very much intertwined. Okay, so let's listen. This is from a previous meeting, a video from a previous meeting where they share all their visions, all their goals, and what they're working on.
About improving biology and redesigning organisms for beneficial purposes. It's going to allow us to not just edit genomes, but also, and importantly, write a new code for life. We'll have right-level permissions. We already started to see some of that this year. COVID-19 vaccines, they make use of engineered code in the form of messenger RNA. What's on the horizon are diminished reality glasses that look very much like what I'm wearing, that would allow you to remove things from your point of view, from your view, whether that's garbage or other people.
Diminished reality glasses that allow you to basically cut out things from your view, whether that's garbage or other people. Interesting, but they're just clearly putting out that what they are, one piece of their agenda is to alter reality as you experience it, your experience of reality, and of course to alter you. Klaus Schwab has said this over and over again. The fourth industrial revolution, the fourth industrial revolution is about to be the biggest industrial revolution, much bigger than the three previous ones, and it will change how we live, and it will also change us. That's what he said many times. It'll change us, of course, because it's about a merger of technology and biology, right? And that's what they're really, that's what this is all about. The 15-minute cities, we're going to get to their climate goals and all of that, right? We're going to get to all of that. But first, I want you to listen to a guy you've probably seen before and heard him before. Yuval Noah Harari. An author, apparently he's called a philosopher and a visionary today. That's praised by many people. I'm getting speechless when people praise a guy like him. But I wanted to show you about a 2-minute clip from his speech at the 2018 World Economic Forum, or Wannabe Elite Fraternity meeting, where he said a few things about the future. Listen to this.
Generations of Homo sapiens. We are probably one of the last generations of Homo sapiens. Within a century or two, Earth will be dominated by entities that are more different from us than we are different from Neanderthals or from chimpanzees. Because in the coming generations, we will learn how to engineer bodies and brains and minds. These will be the main products of the economy, of the 21st century economy. Now, how exactly will the future masters of the planet look like? This will be decided by the people who own the data. Those who control the data control the future not just of humanity, but the future of life itself. Because today, data is the most important asset in the world. Now, why is data so important? It's important because we've reached the point when we can hack not just computers, we can hack human beings and other organisms. Organisms are algorithms. This is the big insight of the modern life sciences. Whether viruses or bananas or humans, they are really just biochemical algorithms. When the infotech revolution merges with the biotech revolution, what you get is the ability to hack human beings. Now imagine the situation in 10 or 20 years when an algorithm can tell any teenager position is. The algorithm tracks your eye movements, your blood pressure, your brain activity, and tells you who you are. We are probably one of the last generations of Homo sapiens.
I hope we are back and you can see and hear me. Technical difficulties are about the most common thing when we talk about things like these on these platforms. Please let me know in a live chat if you can still hear me and still see me. This was a little bit of Yuval Noah Harari. My apologies that the clip cut off. As I said, this is about the most common thing on a platform like this where things don't seem to work out right. At any rate, you know the drill about Yuval Noah Harari. He's all about hacking animals. He's all and humans, calling basically humans animals. And he said that many times before, and that there's nothing special about us, and that the masters of the future will be the data controllers and those who hold the technology. So, and the thing with this is that he's not simply someone who is predicting these things based on the research he's done and said, hey, listen, my fellow brothers and sisters, this is a very alarming and very dangerous trend, and we should really look into this. Do you actually want this? No, he's not saying this. What he is and has been saying is this is it, and this is actually now we will finally create a real God, the AI God. This is what he's been talking about and writing about. And finally, we will be in charge of our own fate and not at the mercy of some figure in the sky. So these people share one common characteristic is that none of them have any spiritual connection, and you can tell, you can feel it, you can sense it, and that's why it's so repulsive to people who do have a spiritual connection. Now, people who don't have one, they listen to these things and they go, well, okay, good. Well, he's crazy or he's that, or yeah, sounds good. But people who have a spiritual connection, 99% of people with a spiritual connection are opposed to this. I mean, you get the creeps when you listen to stuff like this. And that's the vast difference, right? Let's see if we can get to the next clip here, because I promised you, you're gonna hear from the people themselves, because I think that's way better when people finally see what they have been putting out for many years. Until 2020, the vast majority of people were not paying attention. They didn't know who Klaus Schwab was, who the World Economic Forum was, who was showing up there and what they were about. And that was their great advantage. They were just, oh, we're just getting together. We're just chatting. We're just talking about how to make the world better. Finally, people are paying attention, but not nearly enough. Here's a clip from a previous World Economic Forum meeting where they talk about the subject of brain transparency. Now watch this and see how you feel about this one, okay?
First off, a video. It's going to make you see the future and understand a wonderful future where we can use brainwaves to fight crime, be more productive, and find love. Let's roll.
You're in the zone. Even you can't believe how productive you've been. Your memo is finished, your inbox is under control, and you're feeling sharper than you have in a decade. Sensing your joy, your playlist shifts to your favorite song, sending chills up your spine as the music begins to play. You glance at the program running in the background on your computer screen and notice a now familiar sight that appears whenever you're overloaded with pleasure. Your theta brainwave activity decreasing in the temporal regions of your brain. You mentally move the cursor to the left and scroll through your brain data over the past few hours. You can see your stress levels rising as the deadline to finish your memo approached, causing a peak in your beta brainwave activity right before an alert popped up, telling you to take a brain break. But what's that unusual change in your brain activity when you're asleep? It started earlier in the month. You send a text message to your doctor with a mental swipe of your cursor. Could you take a quick look at my brain data? Anything to worry about? Your mind starts to wander to the new colleague on your team, whom you know you shouldn't be daydreaming about, given the policy against intra-office romance. But you can't help fantasizing just a little. But then you start to worry that your boss will notice your amorous feelings when she checks your brain activity and shift your attention back to the present. You breathe a sigh of relief when the email she sends you later that day congratulates you on your brain metrics from the past quarter, which have earned you another performance bonus. You head home jamming to the music, with your work-issued brain-sensing earbuds still in. When you arrive at work the next day, a somber cloud has fallen over the office. Along with emails, text messages, and GPS location data, the government has subpoenaed employees' brainwave data from the past year. They have compelling evidence that one of your coworkers has committed massive wire fraud. Now, they're looking for his co-conspirators. You discover they are looking for synchronized brain activity between your coworker and the people he has been working with. While you know you're innocent of any crime, you've been secretly working with him on a new startup venture. Shaking, you remove your earbuds.
What do you think? Is it a future you're ready for? You may be surprised to learn that it's a future that has already arrived. Everything in that video that you just saw is based on technology that is already here today. Artificial intelligence has enabled advances in decoding brain activity in ways that we never before thought possible.
So you heard it from the horse's mouth. This is what they're presenting at these meetings. This is what they're showing. It is literally like from these dystopian Hollywood movies that we used to watch, and you'd go, hell no, hell no, hell no. I'm never doing this. And they are soft selling this gently and pushing this in, and they're saying to these leaders of companies, listen, it's going to be a wonderful thing. Look how you're going to be able to control your employees, and really, and some companies to a certain extent are already doing this. But this is what they're showing openly. This is what they are pushing out openly. So you have to always understand that what an organization is putting out openly never is the full extent of what they want to push. Here's the thing about why we talk about this from time to time, why we think awareness on this is so important. We have seen a beautiful trend all over the world, because what you don't, and I wasn't aware of until 10, 15 years ago when I was involved in a political campaign and got a complete, I thought it was just corruption, but it's also ignorance and stupidity. That's a big problem in governments, from the local to your national governments. So when we talk about these subjects, when we put these video clips out, guess who also watches? Sometimes junior officials from the government, local, state people that are in government positions. And guess what they are and do? They're as appalled as you and I are mostly. They think this is as horrible as we think it is. And oftentimes they start initiating bills, laws, rules, regulations that prevent some of these things from happening in their jurisdictions. And this is a positive step, my friends. This is actually what needs to happen. Junior members of Congress sometimes stumble across these things, and they find them upon these things, and they analyze them, and they go, oh, I had no idea what they were really about. So let's do something about it. This is really, and we've built this momentum over the last 3.5, 4 years. Ever since Klaus Schwab stepped on a world stage and said the Great Reset, right? Everybody was like, "What? Wait a minute. Who voted for you? Who are you? Why are you here? Who cares?" And so we've been digging and digging and digging, all of us. We found these things. Of course, next week they're going to get together, and this year's meeting in Davos, Switzerland. Last year, there were 1,040 private jets flying into Davos, Switzerland. They spent about 10 million Swiss francs on additional security, of which the government foots a good portion of that bill, by the way. But when they get together this year, they're going to talk about how they will regain trust, because they know they've lost a lot of trust with the governments and with the people, because they've been criticized so heavily that nobody wanted to openly associate too much. So they're going to try to regain trust. Whose trust? Whose trust? I never trusted them in the first place. I really don't care for them, other than understanding how they have been infiltrating and other structures behind them, because the World Economic Forum is one front that we can see. And for every front that we can see, there's an organizational structure behind them that we cannot see that is driving that boat. And we have to understand that. So they're going to get together, and we want to show some of the hypocrisy. 1,040 private jets, okay, that are going to get together in Davos, Switzerland, in this beautiful little mountain town. And they're going to lecture, like every year, the world on how they need to reduce their emissions. One of the biggest hypocrites in this is the former Secretary of State, John Kerry, who's now the climate czar of the Biden administration. And of course, he's using a private jet to fly around the world and lecture everybody on how they need to reduce their emissions. I'll give you a little bit of numbers here. And that doesn't mean I actually fall in line with this narrative whatsoever, because I don't. I look at CO2 vastly different than most people do. But here it is. The average American was responsible for emitting 14.4 metric tons of CO2 in 2022. So 14.4 metric tons. According to flight tracking data obtained in July of 2022, a Gulfstream jet owned by Kerry's family made a total of 48 trips that lasted more than 60 hours and emitted an estimated 715,000 pounds or 325 metric tons of carbon over the course of the Biden administration's first 18 months. So in a year, an average American emits 14.4 metric tons, and in 18 months, Kerry's private jet has emitted 325 metric tons. So that was just his jet. That wasn't any of his other cars or anything else he's used in that time. So this guy is traveling around the world lecturing everybody else on how they need to reduce emissions. Now, they called him on it repeatedly. And here's what Mr. Kerry says, just so you know how he views himself as opposed to you and me.
The only choice for somebody like me, the time it takes me to get somewhere. I can't sail across the ocean. I have to fly to meet with people and get things done. But what I'm doing almost full time is working to win the battle of climate change. I'm not going to be put on the defensive.
Yeah, I'm not going to be put on the defensive. I'm committing all of my time flying around in jets to fight the fight of climate change. Nobody knows what that fight is. Nobody knows how it works. We just made shit up. We just made a fight up, and now we're building that fight, and we're making it bigger, and we're making everybody believe in it. It's a new religion, as I've said before, and I will say again. And thank you for the overlords at YouTube who are watching this. Now, fact check this: the climate has been changing since time immemorial. According to that data that we have, the climate will be changing in perpetuity. Fact check this. Is this a wrong statement? So everything else, if it's not based on this clear statement here, it's hot air. Okay, I've said more than enough because I've been talking about this for a very long time. Assimilation, resilience, those are things that everybody needs and that the human family will need moving forward. Assimilation and resilience. You've seen a little bit in the past 25, 30 minutes about the WEF agenda. However, the best thing to do is to go to weforum.org. That's weforum.org, because that's their official website. And look at it. Look at their video channels. Look at what they're putting out. Share it with your friends and family. Don't send them to Alex Jones for this. I appreciate his work greatly, but the point is, when people see it from the people themselves rather than a commentator or a journalist that they feel very, very emotionally about, but they hear it from Klaus Schwab himself. They hear it from John Kerry himself. They hear it from these Yuval Noah Hararis themselves. It changes things. It changes things, okay? And last but not least, for today's live stream, I would love to share something funny with you. This is from last year's Davos meeting. This is a little clip by Tucker Carlson when he was still with Fox. Listen to the whole thing. It's first, it's very interesting how he introduces it, and then it just gets extremely funny. I love this clip. Okay, without further ado.
Time to check in with our lizard overlords in Davos, Switzerland. What are they up to? Well, this. Thank you for watching. Yeah, those people run the world. They're so impressive.
I laughed hard when I saw this clip last year. We need some humor too, friends. Here's the thing. We just need to grow up, become adults, become aware of these organizations, become aware of their agendas. We have a lot on our plate for the rest of the winter and this spring with the WEF meeting, with the World Health Organization. What we told you, we're just really weeks away from certain deadlines and a few months away from May 2024, when the new over 300 amendments to the international health regulations are supposed to be ratified behind closed doors by people you've never met, you never see. And that would change the landscape of governance all over the world. It would create a whole new structure that, yes, granted, I hear people saying, I simply will not comply. Of course, and that's the way to go. However, we are much better off if we can prevent this from happening rather than having to fight it later on. That's why we come out with information like this. That's why we keep a balance between the spiritual principles, the inner development that is so important, and then applying our spiritual development and maturity to the practical matters that pertain to our lives. I mean, that's practical spirituality. If we don't use it, what's it for? And that's why this is so important to us. This is not about spreading fear. It's awareness. Awareness. So now you know, now you can make better decisions. Now you understand when new technology hits the counter at the grocery store, like you pay with your palm, when certain biometric sensors appear everywhere, you can choose not to participate in these things, or better yet, you can inform people so masses of people do not participate because they understand where this is leading. Now go to the World Economic Forum website, the UN Sustainable Goals website, and see what these people want. What are 15-minute cities? A great concept in theory, if it wasn't connected to total, absolute digital control and surveillance. A 15-minute city concept is basically how every center of most European towns, villages, and cities has always worked. There's a lot of pedestrian zones. Everything is in close proximity. You can walk it. You can use your bicycle. You don't need digital surveillance for that. So great city planning and greenifying cities is a wonderful thing. Yes, we want more gardens. Yes, we want more trees. Yes, we want fruits in the cities. That's wonderful. Less traffic, great. I don't want to walk the cities and inhale the fumes of the cars all the time. That's all wonderful. However, the current trajectory and their plans are coming at the price of freedom of your free thoughts and free movement, because they want to restrict you, control you, surveil you in these 15-minute cities. And hence, this plan cannot go forward. So we need to be able to understand, in theory, this is a good thing. In theory, I totally agree. It's nonsense to have every corner and every street and every road in a big city congested with traffic and combustion engines. It doesn't make any sense if people live there, right? But it can be done in much better ways, and there are much better examples, and we have to be the ones who first understand it and then apply ourselves accordingly and get into the solutions. That's why we feature people like Jim Galen, Food Forest Abundance. They have the vision for stuff like this, and they work on it every single day. That's why we talk to people that are not just about spreading awareness, but also suggesting better ways to do it. And that's why we're here. It's what we love to do. We love to inspire, inform. It's about truth, authenticity, and freedom. All right, my friends, thank you so much for tuning in. Also, I couldn't share this here, but probably the best video of Klaus Schwab ever made on the internet is in the description of this live stream. We had to put it on another platform or this video would have been shut down immediately, but you want to see it. He's finally telling the whole truth in this video. You need to watch this. It's in the description. And last but not least, I have the great honor of being invited to speak at Anarchapulco, the biggest freedom event, to my knowledge, in the world, that's happening in February in Acapulco. Of course, you can tune in digitally. You can find all the information and tickets on the website down below. Max Igan, David Icke, Jeff Berwick, Bear Lando, and many, many, many other wonderful speakers are going to be there. Some of us virtually, some of us in person. Just so excited to be there and share some very important information with you at Anarchapulco. Much love, many blessings. Thank you for tuning in. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll be back with you again very, very soon.